you know, most most people, I think, have never thought about what childhood is. And if you don't have children yourself and you're an adult, okay, maybe you don't have to. Maybe it doesn't matter. Like, maybe it just doesn't matter to you. But if you're a parent, you need to think about why it is that we have literally the longest childhood relative to lifespan of any organism on the planet. This is a feature. This is a way for us to learn how to become human. Everyone who has ever been in school, even if, like me, you happen to have been a good fit for the model of schools that you were in, which I think is pretty rare, actually, knows that you also need to have time to get out there and play and move your body and experience it and not have it being overseen by some adult who's decided in advance what is and is not safe for you to experience. So, one of the things I used to say to my students in advance, I did a lot of team building and actual team building and planning with them in advance of these long study abroad trips. We would have spent weeks together on campus in advance of going on these trips. But what I wanted to do before we left was establish with them, what's your relationship with risk? How do you view your relationship with risk? And we would do this in round, and I would answer the question too. And I would say to them, actually, I happen to love risk. I am the leader on this trip, but I will keep all of you safe, but then I'm going to go do things. And, I am going to walk alone in the forest a lot and do things because it happens to be one of the ways that I find my consciousness, that I find my truest self. And I don't expect any of you to do that also, but you need to be comfortable with the fact that your leader is going to be doing that sort of thing. And
it feels counterintuitive. Can your flaws or mistakes make you more likable? A comparison illustrates how your personal brand can afford to mess up, assuming you are competent. But your business brand certainly cannot. It is interesting to compare both. How can your flaws really enhance your personal brand? Psychologist Elliot Aronson discovered that people who are considered superior by others could become more attractive after committing a small mistake or practical of low consequence. The degree of attractiveness varied depending on the level of competence. In the experiment, Aronson recorded an actor at a quiz playing the role of contestant. The pre-briefed actor answered 92% of the questions correctly and then pretended to spill coffee. The recording was played to two groups of students who were asked to judge how likable the contestant was, one including the spillage, and the other excluding it. Students consistently found the clumsy contestant to be more likable. This is now known as the practical effect. We see this play out all the time, with individual and media highlights more visible to celebrities, musicians, royalty, and global leaders. There are several behavioral effects in force, including relativity and self-reference. Perfect people makes us feel small when they visibly mess up. Their elevated status is reduced, and they seem more vulnerable, endearing, and relatable. And as a result, we feel a lot better about ourselves.
When human females are pregnant, they're advised to stay away from alcohol for fear of harming the fetus. And most parents refrain from giving their infants bottles full of whiskey or beer for obvious reasons. But if you're a fruit fly, literally dousing your offspring in alcohol is apparently one of the best ways to protect them from danger, particularly from certain types of wasps. How and why? Let's back up a bit. First, certain types of wasps prey on fruit flies by injecting eggs inside fruit fly larvae. Unless an infected larva kills the wasp egg, it hatches and the wasp larva eats its way out from inside the fruit fly larva, killing it. One way for fruit fly moms to protect against this gruesome fate is to lay their eggs in an alcohol-soaked environment, such as fermenting fruit, when they see that parasitic wasps are around. Although alcohol is toxic to fruit flies, it's even more toxic to wasps, which, unlike fruit flies, have not evolved a high level of alcohol tolerance. So if the larvae eat enough alcohol-rich food, it can kill the wasp egg and keep it from hatching. Apparently, fruit flies are not the only fly species to use alcohol to protect their young. In fact, it seems that most flies that eat rotting fruit use the alcohol defense against wasps. So, fruit flies are not unique in this regard, but they're still mighty impressive.
Coal is a black or dark brown combustible rock made primarily of carbon. It was formed millions of years ago when ferns, plants, and trees died and fell into swamps. The swamp conditions prevented the organisms from decaying completely, and after millions of years of intense heat and pressure, coal was formed. Coal is classified into 4 main types or ranks based on carbon and heat content: lignite, subbituminous, bituminous, anthracite. The general rule is that the higher the grade of coal, the cleaner it burns and the more versatile its uses. Coal is extracted from the earth through underground mining or surface mining. The choice of mining method is largely determined by the geology of the coal deposit and its distance from the surface. Underground mining currently accounts for a larger share of world coal production than surface mining. Coal can be burned for heating or to produce electricity. To convert thermal coal to electricity, it is first milled to a fine powder, which increases the surface area and allows it to burn more quickly. The hot gases and heat energy produced from combustion converts water into steam to run a turbine and generator. High-quality coal is also a useful raw material. For example, it can be converted to coke for steel making. Coal can also be converted to liquid or synthetic gas by advanced chemical processes, making it a possible but costly replacement for natural gas or liquid fuels for transportation. Electricity is the physical flow of electrons, referred to as an electrical current. Electricity is an energy carrier that efficiently delivers the energy found in primary sources to end users who in turn convert it into energy services. Electricity can be created in 3 main ways. The most common is through electromagnetic conversion, where electricity is generated by moving an electric conductor like wires inside a magnetic field. The most practical example of this is a generator connected to a turbine. The turbine provides the motion required to move the conductor in the generator. This energy for motion can come from various technologies, for example wind turbines, hydro, or the steam created from heat produced in nuclear fission or coal combustion. Electricity can also be created through a chemical reaction. An example of this is a battery or a fuel cell. Finally, electricity can be created through solid-state conversion, where electricity is generated using the structure and properties of a solid. The specially constructed solid consists of different molecules packed closely together that create an electric current when stimulated. An example of a technology that utilizes solid-state conversion is a solar PV cell. It is important to note that electricity is the same regardless of how it is produced. So the electricity generated from an electromagnetic generator is the same as that from a battery.